ladies, and gentlemen, right now, somewhere in the world, someone is waking up earlier than you. Someone is working harder than you. Someone is investing more energy into their dreams than you are. But here's the true thing: the competition isn't with them. It never was. The real challenge, it's the reflection staring back at you in the mirror. In a world full of distractions, opinions, and constant noise, the greatest act of power is to choose silence and focus. We live in a society that glorifies speaking loudly, being seen, and getting attention, but those who truly achieve greatness know the value of tuning out the cows and dialing into the grind. Every second you spend worrying about what others think is a second stolen from your mission. The external world is loud, unpredictable, and filled with judgment. People will talk, they will doubt, they will project their insecurities onto you. And none of it matters if your mind is locked in on your goals. The key is to understand that noise is nothing more than a distraction. It's designed to pull you away from what really matters. It's easy to get caught up in likes, comments, trends, and the highlight reels of other people's lives. But none of that will build your future. None of that will help you level up. Success demands your full attention, your complete energy, your unwavering commitment to your own path, not the world's approval of it. When you're focused on your grind, you're not interested in validation. You don't need to prove anything because the work you're doing behind the scenes is enough. You're not driven by applause, you're driven by purpose. You're not chasing followers, you're chasing freedom. And that kind of focus, it requires shutting out the world. It requires saying no distractions to toxic environments, to meaningless conversations, and to anything that doesn't align with your growth. It means getting up early when no one's watching, putting in the reps when no one's cheering, and making sacrifices that most people will never understand. It means being so obsessed with your mission that the noise becomes irrelevant. The whispers, the doubts, the criticisms, they fade into the background when you're laser focused on your purpose. The grind is not glamorous. It's lonely. It's hard. It's hard. It's filled with moments of silence where you begin to question yourself. But it's also in that silence where you find your greatest strength. Because when there's no one to impress, no one to entertain, and no spotlight shining on you, that's when you discover what you're really made of. That's when the inner fire gets lit. That's when the real transformation happens. You begin to operate differently. You stop looking sideways and start looking forward. You stop explaining yourself and start executing. You stop caring who's watching and start caring how far you can go. And while others waste their energy on being seen, you're building something worth seeing. You're not competing in the noise. You're creating in the silence. You're not trying to be loud. You're trying to be legendary. The grind demands discipline. It demands sacrifice. It demands full attention. And that kind of focus only happens when you're brave enough to ignore the world and give everything to your mission. We often fall into the trap of thinking that everything we do must be perfect, that every step has to be flawless, that unless we get it right the first time, we've somehow failed. But greatness was never built on perfection. It was built on progress. Real transformation, real success, real growth is not a straight line of perfection, but a rugged, messy, relentless climb fueled by consistent effort. When you make progress your obsession, you release yourself from the impossible weight of needing to be perfect. You stop freezing in fear over small mistakes, and instead, you start learning from them. You begin to realize that every failure, every setback, every wrong turn is part of the process that sharpens you into who you were meant to become. Progress is about taking steps, even if they're small, even if they're imperfect, even if no one else understands them. It's about showing up on the days when motivation is low, when the results are invisible, when doubt creeps in and whispers that you're not good enough. Because the truth is, you won't always feel like it. There will be days when you're tired, uninspired, and mentally drained. But if you stay committed to forward motion, even the smallest wins will start to stack up. 1 page read, 1 workout completed, 1 idea written down, 1 habit improved. These small victories, done over time with intention, create unstoppable momentum. When you fall in love with progress, you begin to respect the journey. You stop obsessing over outcomes and start appreciating the process. You stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. You begin to trust that even if the results aren't here yet, they are on their way. as long as you keep moving. You stop waiting for perfect timing, perfect conditions, perfect plans, and instead you act. You show up as you are and do what you can with what you have. And that, over time, becomes your power. Most people quit, not because they don't have what it takes, but because they expect instant results. They don't respect progress. They chase perfection. And when they don't see it fast enough, they give up. But those who win, those who truly rise, are the ones who understand that greatness is built brick by brick, day by day. They know that small progress beats perfect intentions every single time. They don't need everything to be perfect. They just need to keep going. They learn, they adjust, they adapt, but they never stop moving forward. Progress becomes their fuel. It becomes their standard. They don't wait to feel ready. They don't wait for applause. They don't wait for things to be easy. They just get better, a little stronger, a little smarter, a little more focused, every single day. And that steady, relentless commitment to becoming better, even by just a fraction, compounds into something powerful. There is a certain kind of power that comes from being silent and letting your actions speak for you. In a world that constantly demands that you talk about what you're doing, what you're planning, and where you're going, there is a rare strength in staying quiet and putting in the work. Talk is cheap. Everyone can speak about goals, dreams, and visions. But very few have the discipline to actually build what they speak of. When you let your work speak louder than your words, you earn a kind of respect that no amount of talking could ever buy. People begin to notice, not because you shouted for attention, but because your results became impossible to ignore. It's tempting to seek recognition before it's earned. It's tempting to announce every step and every move just to feel like progress is being made. But true power doesn't come from public declarations. It comes from private discipline, the late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the quiet consistency that no one claps for. That's where real greatness is born. When you're so deeply focused on your mission that you forget to update the world, you're in the right zone. You're not building a story to impress others. You're building a life to be proud of. And when that kind of life starts to take shape, people will notice all on their own. You won't need to convince anyone. You won't need to explain yourself, because your results will speak with a voice so loud that no words could compete. The beauty of letting your work do the talking is that it creates undeniable proof. No one can argue with excellence. No one can debate results. They can doubt your words, but they can't deny your success. That kind of confidence comes from knowing you've put in the time, the energy, and the effort. It's not ego. It's not arrogance. It's certainty born out of action. The person who has done the work doesn't need to speak the loudest. Their presence alone tells the story. Their discipline shows in their results. Their focus shows in their growth. Their effort shows in the life they've built quietly while others were busy talking. When you let your work be your voice, you free yourself from the need for approval. You no longer chase recognition. You chase excellence. You're not in the business of convincing people. You're in the business of becoming the best version of yourself. That kind of energy is magnetic. It draws people in. It earns real respect. It creates opportunities that words never could. And more importantly, it builds a foundation of self-worth that isn't dependent on applause. You stop needing external validation because you've found internal strength. You begin to understand that legacy is built in silence and revealed in impact. That people may not always hear what you say, but they will always see what you do. So, show them, not with noise, not with announcements, but with undeniable, consistent action that leaves no doubt about who you are and what you're capable of becoming the moment you stop measuring your success against someone else's life is the moment you start reclaiming your power. The only real competition that exists is between who you were yesterday and who you have the potential to become today. The world is flooded with distractions, full of curated images, filtered lives, highlight reels, and inflated achievements. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire life chasing a race that was never meant for you. You'll fall into the trap of comparison, constantly looking left and right, wondering why someone else's journey seems smoother, faster, or more glamorous. But the truth is, you don't know the battles they're fighting. You don't see their insecurities, their pain, or their failures. You only see the surface, while your own journey is lived in full depth and detail. Real power lies in focusing inward. When you wake up and ask yourself, am I better than I was yesterday? You begin to anchor your growth to something real, your own progress. You start to compete with your old habits, your old excuses, your old limitations. You challenge yourself to think bigger, move smarter, train harder, and live more purposefully. And in doing that, you separate yourself from the masses, because most people are so focused on looking good in the eyes of others that they never stop to ask if they're actually growing. They chase clout, not character. But the few who focus on evolving daily, those are the ones who win in the long run. Every day presents an opportunity to be a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more focused than you were before. Maybe yesterday you gave up too early. Today you push a little longer. Maybe yesterday your attitude was negative. Today you control your mindset. Maybe yesterday you doubted yourself. Today you believe even just a little more. That's the game. Not perfection. Progression, not trying to be like them. Trying to outgrow who you used to be. And the beauty of this mindset is that it's sustainable. It removes pressure, it kills comparison, and it makes you unstoppable. Because as long as you're moving forward, you're winning. You'll start to notice that your confidence doesn't come from applause anymore. It comes from the quiet victories. Waking up early, sticking to your goals, holding yourself accountable, showing up when no one's watching. These small wins build a foundation so strong that no opinion can shake it. You no longer need to be better than anyone. You just need to be better than the version of you who settled for less. That's a fight worth waking up for. That's a competition that leads to real fulfillment. And it's a game you can control every single day. When you commit to self-competition, you eliminate excuses. You own your story. You stop blaming others and you start building yourself. You realize that life isn't about proving anything to the world. It's about proving something to yourself. Growth is not about speed. It's about direction. And when your only focus is leveling up from within, the world has no choice but to take notice of who you are becoming. Energy is one of the most powerful currencies you possess. And where you choose to invest, it determines the direction of your entire life. Every day, you're either spending your energy building something meaningful, or wasting it on things that drain your spirit and slow your progress. Protecting your energy doesn't just mean avoiding toxic people or negative environments. It means taking full ownership of your focus, your mindset, your emotional state, and the space you give to your goals. It means recognizing the difference between activity and productivity, between movement and progress, between being busy and being effective. In a world where distractions are everywhere and everyone wants a piece of your attention, guarding your energy becomes not just wise, but essential to your success. When you're building something powerful, a vision, a dream, a stronger version of yourself, you can't afford to let noise seep into your space. You can't let gossip, drama, or the opinions of the crowd distract you from your mission. You have to become selective with your time, intentional with your focus, and ruthless with your boundaries. That means saying no more often. Cutting off conversations that lead nowhere and walking away from anything that doesn't serve your growth. It means choosing quiet over chaos, clarity over confusion, solitude over superficiality. The path to greatness is rarely crowded, not because others can't walk it, but because most people are too distracted to stay on it. Those who succeed are the ones who know how to withdraw from noise and go to war in silence. Working in silence isn't about hiding. It's about healing. It's about growing. It's about grounding yourself in the process. The silence is where real transformation takes place. It's where you face your weaknesses head on, where you build unshakable discipline, where you develop the grit that the outside world will one day admire. But that process doesn't happen when your energy is scattered. It only happens when you channel every ounce of your strength into the work. The daily, unglamorous, uncelebrated work that the world will never see until the results make them look twice. When you protect your energy, you also start to elevate your standards. You no longer tolerate excuses, half efforts, or meaningless distractions. You begin to realize that every time you give your attention to something that doesn't align with your goals, you're stealing from your own future. So you train yourself to refocus, to realign, to recommit. You start surrounding yourself with people who inspire action, not excuses. You fill your mind with content that feeds your ambition, not your doubts. You organize your environment to reflect your priorities. You create rituals that anchor you in purpose and routines that keep you in motion. This level of energy protection is not about being selfish. It's about being strategic. You're no longer chasing everything. You're pursuing only what matters. And that makes you dangerous. That makes you unstoppable. Because when your energy is fully aligned with your purpose, you become a force nothing can shake. You're not scattered, you're sharp. You're not reactive, you're intentional. You're not looking for permission. You're building power quietly from within. There is a certain kind of power that doesn't need to scream, doesn't need to prove, doesn't need to announce. It just arrives and shifts the atmosphere. That power is success, not the temporary, surface level kind that fades after the applause dies down, but the real kind, the kind that's earned through pain, through sacrifice, through relentless effort, when no one's watching. Success is the best revenge because it renders every doubt, every insult, and every setback meaningless. It silences the noise better than any argument ever could. You don't need to defend your dreams to people who never believed in them. You just need to build them so well that your very existence becomes the evidence. That's what real winners do. They don't talk about what they're going to do. They do it. And when the world finally catches up, the story tells itself. You see, people will question you. They will judge you. Some will laugh at you. Some will criticize you. And others will pretend not to see your efforts at all. That's just part of the journey. It's human nature to underestimate what they can't understand. But it's also human nature to respect undeniable results. When you're focused on growth, when you're pushing beyond limits, when you're doing what others only talk about, eventually the results become too loud to ignore. They don't need explanation. They don't need defense. They stand on their own. That's the revenge, not pettiness, not words. Just undeniable proof that you didn't just survive, you evolved. You didn't just talk about it, you became it. Let them doubt you. Let them think you're not capable. Let them whisper behind your back, misunderstand your silence, misinterpret your grind. Let them assume you're not working just because you're not posting every move. Let them sleep on your potential, because the more they doubt you, the sweeter the moment when your results arrive. And they will, because the truth is consistency always wins. Discipline always wins. Focus always wins. While others were focused on being seen, you were focused on becoming someone worth seeing. You weren't chasing attention. You were chasing mastery. And that's what separates you. Success has a way of rewriting the narrative. Suddenly, the same people who doubted you will want to learn from you. The same ones who ignored you will quote you. That's how powerful success can be. It doesn't just prove people wrong. It turns disbelief into admiration. But you don't chase it for them. You chase it for you. You chase it because you know what it cost you. The late nights, the early mornings, the discipline, the heartbreak, the sacrifices, no one sees that. But you carry it all, and it makes your success even more meaningful. It's not about showing off. It's about showing up again and again until your results speak so loud that no one remembers what the doubts even sounded like.